My whole life I have lived in the king's castle as a mere servant, and so has my mother. The king has often spoken to me and greeted me with such kindness that I do not find anywhere else in this place. Now, some of my tasks is usually to tend to the horses in the stables, and sometimes to spend time organizing things in the library, which is where I often get to speak and spend time with the king, even though he usually wishes to be alone. And from him I have learned a great many things that I never learned from my father, a man who my mother has said died in the war a month after I was born. And to be honest, if I were allowed to say it, the king makes me feel as if I have a father. Now the time of winter has come upon us, and a great illness has struck the city of Rothven. The king has succumbed to his illness, and his health has deteriorated. And at first it was nothing more than a mere cough, but now it's a fever. And also, he can barely walk. He's become bedridden and requested to have me tend to him consistently. The sons often visit, but only occasionally. Now the eldest son, Henry, he's often busy proclaiming changes that he'll make once he becomes the king, while the second son, George, drowns himself in ale at the nearest brothel. And the youngest son, Leo, always seems to be traveling. The more time I spend with the king, I can always sense a great sadness from him. And I doubt the illness is what makes him sad. I've noticed this formulating long before the illness. And as a mere servant, I've moved around a lot in the castle, so I've paid close attention to a great deal of things. The king often has tried to bond with his children, but they often brush him off. Even the queen has seemed to be straying from him. Seeing how this distance has grown is quite apparent now. And it saddened me, for I hate how he is being treated by them. He's a good king, but also a good man. Arthur, the king's frail voice calls out. I'd been busy organizing the books in his room when he calls out. My head turns quickly with concern. Yes, my lord. The king's breathing is ragged as I watch his chest rise and falls shakily while he lays on his back. His normal bisque-colored skin has gone pale. The bags under his eyes are dark, like someone has given him two black eyes. Are my boys somewhere in the castle? He jokes. I stand there silently with uncertainty. For the last hour I had been with him, and no one has shown up. And just the other day I recall George saying he would be coming by to visit, but I'm not holding my breath. But alas, I didn't want to lie to the king, saying that any of them would be there or not. I can go check if you wish, my king. The king raises a shaking hand. It's meaningless. Only one cares about the crown. Then there's one who craves booze and lusts for women, while the other merely wants to see the world. The king sighs. Perhaps they believe you will get better, and they are trying to not worry. The king scoffs before letting out a heavy cough. You amuse me, my boy. I scratch my head and then lower my gaze. I did not mean to make a meaningless jest, my lord. Forgive me. Arthur. Yes? What do you wish to do or be in this life? I stand there for a second as I ponder the question. Helping others is what I wish to do. The king smiles weakly. A good king is one who serves the people. I nervously return the smile before lowering my head. I suppose I agree. You be about a year older than my son Leo, correct? Yes, my lord. The king's sky-blue eyes stare at me as his wheezy breaths become more audible. I thought as much. This makes me curious as to why he would ask such a random question. Why do you ask this? The king remains silent for a moment before he begins to struggle. He's sitting up out of the bed. And without thinking, I rush over to help him, but he holds up his hand. And I stop dead in my tracks, waiting to see what he will do next. Have you ever loved someone that you had no right of loving? This question is unexpected. It's left me at a loss for words and unsure of what to say, although I know the answer, for I did love someone once. She had been a princess from a foreign country, and I only seen her a few times when she came to the city. Yes, in a way, I suppose I have. The king sits silently, staring off into space. Finally, he closes his eyes and lets out a deep sigh. I fear I may not be getting better, so it is time for me to announce my successor. To announce a secret I have held for many years. I stand in silence with my face twisted in confusion. I've grown accustomed to the king's sometimes enigmatic statements, but this was very peculiar. Find my advisor and have him try to gather my boys, the queen as well as the council. For a second I remain in place, confused, but then I spring into action when he furrows his brow at me. Quickly I bow my head and I rushed for the door. It took 3 hours to get everyone seated in the throne room. It took some time also to get the king moving, but now he sits in his kingly robes and holding his golden staff on the throne. The queen and her 3 sons are sitting, and the royal council are present. And also a few lords have come to witness the ceremony. And standing at the steps that lead to the throne is the advisor, and in his hand he holds a piece of paper. Despite his clothing, I could see how plump he is. His chubby cheeks and brown face are red from how tight his collar seems to be. I can even see the sweat pouring down his temples as he's moved about in the airy room. The king has ordered this gathering to announce his successor, the advisor exclaims in a breathy tone. I stand in the shadows along with a few other servants, and from where I stand I can see the Prince Harry is looking on with excitement on his face. This meeting seems unnecessary to me since the eldest is always the chosen successor. They are always the rightful heir after all. The advisor has opened the pamphlet and he's taking a second to examine, but then his eyes widen. His head snaps back toward the king, and then he looks around the room. The way the advisor has become flustered has started to cause whispers to occur within the crowd. Due to the king's declining health, he wishes to officially announce his successor. But first he wishes to unveil a secret he has kept for 23 years. The advisor announces. I furrow my brow as I stand there silently watching on with confusion, because to my surprise, I feel a hand grab my arm. My head turns to see my mother with her look of fear in her eyes. When nights became lonely and my queen would often whisk away in the night, I found myself yearning, thirsting for something she no longer chose to give me. Thus an affair began. A love that was so sweet that I couldn't stay away from for too long. The advisor reads. His breathy voice began to shake. The whispers in the room has become louder as my gaze remained on my mother, her eyes filled with guilt and possibly regret. What was happening right now? I don't understand any of it. Upon a full moon, a boy was born in secret. The queen never knew. I pushed this forbidden love away, but not far enough for me to be unable to see the child grow to a man. A man who, unlike my other sons, proved to be one that serves others and not himself. The advisor trails off as he continues to stare at the pamphlet in hand. I look around the room and I see everyone looking at each other. I look toward the king, who seems to be staring directly at me and my mother. Slowly, my mouth drops open as I begin to realize what was happening. On behalf of King Oliver Twelvetrees, I welcome the future king of Alcrana, Arthur Griffiths.